Excuse me while I go somnambulate.
He'll do it too. He's that crazy.
This is, I don't know. I don't know if we're doing a TBR, a reading report.
Reading report is reading report is what I thought.
Yeah. And for that matter, I'm Steve.
I'm Paul.
And this is Check Your Shelf. And today is a couple of things got to remind everybody of. Two things. One, we don't follow rules around here. So whatever you think a reading report is supposed to be, you're probably going to get something a little bit different than that. I had time to read, so I actually finished a few things that I had in progress because I took a trip to North Carolina recently for business. And I would have gotten more reading done, but I met the world's most interesting business person at the airport bar. Well, I don't know if he's that interesting, but he had a really interesting story. Would you like to hear it?
Absolutely.
It's really unrelated to reading or books or anything, but it's a pretty funny story, so I thought I would tell it. All right, this one goes out to those of you that have us on in the background while you're doing other things. All right, so...
Those of you with what we call sense.
Yes. So, you're supposed to get to the airport early. So I get to the airport early. I breeze through security because I'm the least threatening looking person for airport security. Not if you were to meet me in a dark alley. I'm giant and weird looking. But going through airport security is a breeze for me, right? Because I check all the right boxes.
They have a poster of like you.
Yeah.
And it just says, don't check this guy, check everybody else.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And there's like a loaf of Wonder Bread next to me in the picture. So now I've got like an extra hour and a half to kill before my plane is even going to start boarding. So I do what any wise business traveler who plans to take a taxi, I'm on my way home. I don't have to work. And, I'm taking a taxi home. So I do the smart thing. I go plop my butt down at a bar at the airport. And there's this British dude sitting next to me, and as conversation often does, it turns to, so what brings you to town? What kind of work do you do? And he's like, maybe, and I'm not going to attempt my British accent because it would be too distracting.
It'll just devolve to Australian Southern. So
exactly. Yeah, mate. Yeah, we have some Australians that listen and watch, so it'd be nice to see what Southern Australian accent sounds like. Anyway, this guy was from London, so he's on his way back to London. It's like, what brings you to town? He sort of looks at the bartender. The bartender sort of looks at him, looks over at me, and says, "Are you sure you want to hear this?" I said, "I've never been more sure of anything in my life."
Now I gotta know.
I gotta hear this. He's like, "Well, I believe I've been sacked." And I was like, you believe you've been sacked? I said, first of all, I love that word. It reminds me of like Genghis Khan, sacking a city, right? It's like here, it's like fired. Oh, you're fired. Well, fire. I mean, sacked.
Yeah.
Right. I love it. And I was like, well, what leads you to believe you may have been sacked? Were you actually sacked? He's like, no, but okay, here you go. Last night, we had this big company celebration because we met some big milestone. And it also so happens that my divorce just went through yesterday. So I find out my divorce went through back in England, and we're at this 700 person event. Everybody's drinking, everybody's celebrating. He's like, I'm a senior sales leader, and I met the VP of HR. By the way, I'm not going to name any names. And if this YouTube video gets subpoenaed, we're going to just follow the law. but I don't know anything, and I didn't commit any crimes. So the VP of, and I don't know the name of the company either. So the VP of HR, he says, is a, we got to know each other, and so I hooked up with a lesbian while I was on this trip, right? And I said, okay, back up a little bit. When you say hook up, you mean like hook up? He's like, yeah, we hooked up. I was like, well, first of all, lesbian maybe, bisexual definitely, right? He's like, well, yeah, based on what we did, I would say bisexual is probably the right label for it. I was like, okay, go on. He says, so we're getting toward the end of the night of the celebration, and we started our festivities, our second phase festivities. We were making out in the bar, and some people saw us making out, and then they saw us go up to my room together. And then they saw her leaving my room at 5:00 this morning. And I was like, okay, so why do you think you've been sacked? Like, she's VP of HR. She's your superior, right? Yeah. I was like, well, she's supposed to know the policies and the law and everything. Why would you be the one getting sacked? He's like, I don't know, but hotel security showed up at my door a couple hours later and told me that my company asked them to inform me that I'm to pack my bags and go home immediately.
Yeah, I would take all those clues.
That's a pretty good clue. And so then I said, well, okay, you're divorced. Yes. All right. She's a lesbian. She had a relationship. He's like, she's married. Okay. But he says she called her wife to ask her if it'd be all right. She called her. He's like, because apparently that's a thing gay people do. I was like, okay, that's a thing people do, maybe you're a throuple now. I don't know. Maybe, but you're consenting. You both consented. So she got permission from her wife before she did anything. Sounds like consenting adults, nothing illegal there, and nothing immoral, certainly. You're consenting adults. She didn't even cheat. She got permission. So, because he was asking me, I don't know why me. I guess I have that kind of face that you're like, he's like, did I do anything wrong? I was like, well, you mean morally or legally? Because I'm not hearing that you did anything wrong either way. On the other hand, your superior hooked up with you and you may get fired for it. That may be illegal, but I'm not a lawyer and I can't give legal advice. I suggest you talk to a lawyer. He's like, can you send me all this in a message on LinkedIn? Here, let's connect on LinkedIn and you can send me a message. I'm like, okay, but I'm not sending that message. I don't feel like getting subpoenaed in a lawsuit. I talked to this guy at an airport bar and he gave me legal advice. No, I did not. I said plenty of times, I am not giving you legal advice.
See, what had happened was he, in that airport bar in the bathroom, there's a picture of you and it says, in case of moral quandary, get advice from a guy who looks like this.
Alongside a picture of a loaf of Wonder Bread.
So my question then is, Steve, what did you read during your trip when you weren't giving non-legal legal advice?
All right. First, and maybe most importantly, I finished House in the Borderlands by William Hope Hodgson.
Okay.
Bill Hope. Which, I've got thoughts, I've got feelings, I've got things to say, none of which are probably going to be all that popular with our crowd. I didn't think it was bad, but that's a story for another show, which I think it's okay. We have confirmation, right? That
that in the near future. Yeah.
Andrea is going to come on, and that's going to be one of the things we talk about, right? Or maybe the thing we talk about. I'm really looking forward to that. I really like her channel. I like the way she interacts with those Eves dudes and the other, Chris and everybody else. Really looking forward to getting to know her better and hearing why I should have fallen in love with William Hope Hodgson's House in the Borderlands.
Well,
I'm open to being persuaded. I'll put it that way.
you can give an impression. We'll save it for the big show because
Okay.
that'll be a little ways down the line. You can. What's your what's your broad stroke?
It
Review.
could have been an essay.
Or-
It could have been an essay that says, "Hey, I have some ideas on what the future may hold and what." So it's, as you guys all probably know, it's about a weird house that time travels, right?
Mhm.
And it's one of those where somebody finds an old manuscript, right? And they read,
Mhm.
and then the rest of the book is the manuscript.
Mhm.
And it could have been, to me, it's like reading an essay. There aren't character interactions. There's just not, it's not a story. It didn't feel like a story. It felt like hey, I have a bunch of ideas on, like, if you were to travel into the future and at the same time travel toward the center of the galaxy or the universe, this is what it might be like. And I was like, that was kind of cool, but it just wasn't, it didn't feel like a story to me.
This video's over. Well, while we're on the subject of airplanes, I have been reading this little book.
Ooh. Now that's a
Yes.
story. That's a book full of stories right there.
This is a book full of stories. Yeah, as most people who watch this channel and I read a lot of short stories.
Mhm.
So I started reading the short stories in weird frequencies, strange stories by stranger authors, which you can get on Bezos's bookstore. I'm about halfway through it, and one of the things that Jake had brought up a while ago was how this book is every bit comparable with the kind of short story collections that it's trying to emulate, and he's 100% right. Some of these stories are very on point for for what you think you're going to get. But then you get stories like Nick's story, which is very much the kind of story you think you get from Nick. It's great, by the way, but you can definitely tell, it's a Nick story.
Is it gothic and smutty?
So far, like I said, I've read about half of them, and I really thought that where is it here? Conjunction Junction, which was written by Chris from Liminal Spaces. Right now, as it is, it's probably the best written one. I like the story. It takes place on a plane, and it's like all one take. It's just this guy has this really weird encounter on a plane. I liked it a lot.
I'll bet you just stirred up a bunch of controversy, which is great for engagement. But just in case y'all missed that, Paul thinks that Chris's story is the best written. Paul, that's what
I
Paul
should
thinks.
say it appealed to me the most.
Now you're
think that would-
backpedaling. Now you're walking back your comment. You clearly said Chris from Liminal Spaces' story is the best written out of all the stories in there by far. And the second place isn't even close.
That I have read. I'm still about halfway. I got about halfway to go, so that could change. Of course, Tim's story, The Runes of Balor, is basically it's a great Indiana Jones story that takes place on a train, just minus Indiana Jones. Last Rites by Infinite Text, I liked it, but I got to go back and reread it because I don't remember how it ended.
Oh,
it must have been a bad day for me. And then the last one I read was The Mouth of the World by Brian from Bad Taste Books. Out of the half a dozen that I've read, that is probably the most on point weird fiction story in this book that really fits the mold of what those old book storage collections were going for. But yeah, I'll be getting to the rest of them, and I'm going to do some shelfies on a couple of them later on. But I just wanted to give some first impressions because I want to keep this book in circulation in people's mouths. So
put that book in people's mouths.
Yeah.
I also read short stories. Speaking of short stories, I read one that I've been meaning to get to for a while called The Yellow Wallpaper. The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Stetson. It's pretty short. I recommend people go read it. It was written in the late 1800s. Stetson was a feminist and really saw how women were treated as the patriarchy, is a popular
yeah.
word right now,
Yeah.
for good reason. And this was written as a response to a lot of women were really poorly treated, to put it mildly, especially when she had postpartum. So Charlotte herself had postpartum depression, and her husband recommended the rest cure, and her doctor recommended the rest cure. And so the main character in this short story is a woman whose husband happens to be a doctor, and they rent this mansion out in the colonial countryside. It's an old colonial mansion, as one does. And he prescribes the rest cure. And what the rest cure was, you're not allowed to write, read, socialize. You just do nothing, no stimulation of any kind. And the thought was, the problem with your health right now is you're trying to do too much. You're trying to write, you're trying to think, you're trying to be a full human being. And that's not good for a woman, especially after having a baby, as evidenced by your postpartum depression, right? As opposed to what really works, which is, well, these days, some sort of medication. Back in those days, what would really work was some exercise, some socializing, some putting yourself out there is really what helps, as opposed to the opposite. So,
in other words, just bury it.
Bury it. And
yes.
And be subservient to your husband.
Yes.
You're not let the husband would say, let me do the thinking, let me do the reading, let me do the writing. You do the baby nurturing, you do the cooking, you do the cleaning, you do the looking pretty at the social events. That's your job. Not thinking. Thinking is not part of that job, right? And so this is a horror story too. It works on so many levels. It works as a feminist, piece of feminist activism, right? But it also just works as a horror story, because as she's in this room, this yellow wallpaper is like, she starts to see things behind, like she sees a woman behind the yellow wallpaper. And so she starts to, and it's a total unreliable narrator thing. Yeah. I could do a whole shelfie on this one, man. It is so good. It's good as a scary story. And then you start to see the layers of allegory in it, and how multiple, and that was actually, I was reading some of the analysis of it. And by the way, I'll do a shelfie, but there's been thousands of pages of analysis done on this story. There's no scholarly anything that I'm going to do, but one of the points that one of the analyses said is, it was even like a reaction to, during the Renaissance, or during a certain period in our literary history, people thought there should only be one meaning for something that you're reading. So when you read it, you know exactly what happened. It's reliable. You know what it means, right? And so she wove in these multiple meanings and multiple, like, you could interpret it multiple different ways. For example, it could just be a horror story. It could be supernatural, or she could be going mad, right? And it could be a piece of feminist activism, right? So it could be these multiple things, and that's okay. Just because you read these words doesn't mean it has to be black and white. So it just took me longer to talk about it than it would take you to read it. So I recommend, just look up The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins.
I read that in high school because you and I were messaging each other about it. I remember reading it in high school, and I don't remember a ton of it, but I do remember, like, in the beginning, when, like, everyone was telling her that there was nothing wrong with her. Yeah. But here's what we're gonna do to cure you. That's like gaslighting at its finest. Dude.
We're gonna cure you of the nothing that's wrong with you.
Yes. That part I do remember. In preparation for something coming up next month, I went to the library and grabbed the whatever Arthur Conan Doyle I could find. And one of the things I found was this. The best supernatural tales of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Ooh. Edited by E.F. Bleeler. I don't know Bleeler.
Anybody?
I read 2 stories out of here so far. The first one and the last one. The first one is, you might actually like it. It's a story about a boxer who doing like the street matches and stuff, like before the days of like regulations and whatnot. And he ends up getting in a tournament with a person he can't beat.
A sailor.
And no, but he just can't beat the dude, and it has a great ending to it, because it has one of those like you remember like Phantom 309, where the guy tries to pay for the cup of coffee with the dime that the truck driver gave him. They're like, no, you keep that. You got to, it's kind of like a ghost story in a way. The one that it was okay. The one I really liked though was about this dude that got eaten by a giant Venus flytrap.
Look, Harry's being eaten.
It starts out with one of these like gentleman clubs, like in England, like they're known to have, with the smoking jackets and the pipes and all that, and the
so not
and the
that
brandy.
kind of gentleman's club, a different kind of
not an American gentleman's club.
Sort of like the one from the death of Ivan Ilyich, one of those kinds of gentlemen's clubs.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay.
But anyway, so one of them invites this guy from America, and he's this like rootin' tootin' cowboy, and he tells the story of how there was this bushwhack that happened, and the villain gets eaten by this giant, Venus flytrap. So that appealed to everything I love about.
Shucks and by gum, looks like that plant's eating that feller.
Yeah. Now the thing I'm probably gonna have a lot of trouble with, or at least get used to when it comes to our plans next month, is there's more dialogue in these stories than I thought there'd be. Because a lot of times back in this era, it was mostly just prose with like what the implication of what people said. But there's a lot of dialogue, and it's very dialected, so you're reading like words that normally are a different word, but in this like for instance, I seed it. Did you put? Is it a seed that you put in the ground, or did you seed it? Stuff like that.
So, are you sure that plant ate that feller? I seed him do it.
That's right. So it's stuff like that I'm probably going to have to get a little bit used to. But yeah, I'm going to read some more of these and get back to you guys on. I mean, who am I to criticize Arthur Conan Doyle? But
Well,
I'll let you guys know what I think.
he's not even here to defend himself. It's cold outside,
Mm-hmm.
as many of you may know. And so I'm going back and sort of rereading. So I started these three.
Oh, there you go. You're like
Which
I
is-
am when it comes to the winter.
Yeah. Endurance, which is about the voyage of the ship called the Endurance.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nonfiction. It's about Ernest Shackleton trying to make it to the South Pole. Didn't make it, but he did. They did make it back alive, all of them.
Mhm.
Only to be for a few of them to be killed in World War I, or as they called it back then, the Awesome War.
That's right.
And this, I didn't even realize. I like, how you get something and you're like, I should have known it existed, because
Uh-huh.
this is Ernest Shackleton's memoir called
Mhm.
South, and this borrows heavily from this. This
Oh, that's cool.
reads more like, this is modern, and
Mhm.
it. When was it? I don't see a date. Doesn't matter. But this pretty modern. Alfred Lansing's a great writer, so it
Mhm.
flows better. It's more. He has stories. It has story elements. Whereas this reads like a memoir. So, and then
Well, I don't know about our viewers, but I really would like to reviews of some of that stuff in the future, because when we did the story about Ernest Shackleton back on our podcast days,
Mhm.
it was a great story, and it'd be fun to hear it again, with a new perspective.
Sure, absolutely, I can do that, and I can do it without having to read these two really thick books. Because I
was figuring that too. It'd be less
Yeah.
work for you then. You could
Yeah,
just-
absolutely. And then finally, I'm not gonna say. I'll probably do a shelfie or something on this one. This is
Mhm.
One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich
Mhm.
by Solzhenitsyn. It takes place in winter, and you may think like when you're out there shoveling and it's like 2 below Fahrenheit that you've got it bad. But when your fingers start to
Mhm.
get cold, you can kind of come inside and wrap them around a nice mug of hot coffee or tea, and you can eat something. You can eat.
Mhm.
I make fish stew sometimes. It's got a lot of fish in it, like a good amount. Dude's over here eating fish stew, and he gets excited if there's like just a little sliver of bone.
The essence of fish.
Yeah. So this is about the gulags. Solzhenitsyn famously Gulag Archipelago.
Mhm.
I ain't reading Gulag Archipelago. It's like a million pages. This one's 142. So
I like that you had to specify that this book written by a Russian took place in the winter.
yeah, right.
Are there any like famous Russian summer yarns?
Well, I believe the death of Ivan Ilyich may take place in the summer. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
But
That's incorrected.
I don't know. You know what, Andrea? Why don't you let us? Hey, Andrea. Yeah, I'm not sure if you're stacking books or checking in books or straightening out the card catalog, but I just wanted to ask, in case you were doing something else, are there any Russian yarns that take place in the middle of the summer? Please let us know below.
While we're on the subject of winter, I recently reread for a shelfie The White Buffalo by Richard Sale. I'm not going to go into it because in a couple days the shelfie will be coming out, but it's one of my favorite books of all time, and it's also a Western. It could be viewed through a certain lens as a horror novel, which is why I put it in the dead of winter. But yeah, I won't go into it too much. It's a readable Western. How about that?
So I finished this one, Portraits of Decay.
Oh, there you go.
Oh man, I'm wishing I had finished it before we talked to JR. Portraits of Decay, a novel by J.R. Blaine, Southern Gothic horror. And I went and looked up Gothic because I was like, I could go watch Nick's channel, and I could watch Nick and
Eric, Paperback
Warrior. I could
Yeah.
watch Paperback Warrior and Nick and Book Graveyard's joint project, A Guide to the Gothics. I could do that, or I could just go to Wikipedia and see what it has to say. But anyway, this checks all the Gothic boxes according to Wikipedia, at least.
Yeah.
But we had JR on and had a chance to talk to him a few episodes back. Maybe we'll have him on again in March because he's doing an event near our hometown. So we may travel over and do another interview. I can't say enough about this book. It's so good, dude.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's I mean, I can't say it came out of nowhere because the dude's worked on it for years.
Yeah.
It came out of nowhere, man. I had moderate expectations for how much I like it because most of my favorite authors are all dead. But this one, and it's not my standard fare for what I would normally read, but I'm glad I did. It's great. I'll put a link down below where you guys can find it if you want to check it out.
If you like art, if you like New Orleans, you like voodoo, you like zombies, you like gore, you like gore that's written almost poetically. Like a lot of times, I'll see gore and I'm like, yeah, I get it. Gore. Like, gory stuff happened, right? But this one was written so poetically. Like you're almost like you forget that, somebody, I don't want to spoil anything, but you almost forget what happened because you're like, I could see the movie, right? It was almost cinematic. Like I could see how they would handle it in the movie. And then the way it ends was just beautiful. I had to text him when I finished. I got done and I was just like gushing, fanboy.
Well, it's like I tell everybody when I recommend it, I'm like the prologue will break your heart, and the finale will basically pull that heart out, throw it on the wall, let it slide down the wall, and then walk over and step on it.
Almost literally.
Yes, almost literally.
JR's great though. I
Yeah.
went to Chicago. My son turned 21 recently, and we went to Chicago to kind of celebrate. He wanted me to take him to a bar and show him how it works. If only I'd had adults like me. No, if only I'd been a kid like my son, who will openly ask for what he wants, right? And so I did, but I texted JR and was like, "You live in Chicago. What are some good places to take somebody?" He's like, "Well, there's this dive bar where Jeffrey Dahmer and John Wayne Gacy used to go over in Wrigleyville. It's called it's called L&L Tavern, but people around here call it the Murder Bar." And then so we went there. He orders a martini.
How do you even not call it that?
he orders a martini, right? And the bartender kind of looks at him and goes, "Well, we have vodka." He says like extra dry martini, very dirty. And she goes, "We have vodka, and that's about all we have on the list. We don't have olives. We don't have vermouth. We have one martini glass in the place," because it's almost like we're required to. She's just like, "Sir, this is a dive bar." And it was just like the meme, "Sir, this is a Wendy's." So now that's new lore in our family. We'll go around saying, "Sir, this is a dive bar." But she was really nice about it, like extremely nice.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't the grumpy old, cigarette stained dude.
Like the guy from the bartender and It's a Wonderful Life. "Okay, out you two."
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought of, and I couldn't think of the line. I wanted to say, "We serve hard liquor here for men who want to get drunk. We don't need guys like you around here to give the place character," whatever it is. So then I'm like, "Well, we'll go find you a martini. How hard can it be?" So we're walking around. I'm like, "Where are all the bars?" And there's a beer place. And the guy's like, "Oh, I don't think we have martinis." And then we go to some frat boy place. Like, this isn't going to work either. JR, where's a good place to get a martini? And he told us, and we went, and it was awesome. Turns out it was a gay bar, which is perfect.
Hey, look, mister. We serve hard drinks in here for men who want to get drunk fast, and we don't need any characters around to give the joint atmosphere. Is that clear?
Anyway, all that's just to say this. Pick up your copy of Portraits of Decay by J.R. Blades. It's awesome.
Yes, it is. On a completely different note, I have two more books here that I want to get into. I can't get into them too much because they're gonna be involved in a little minor events we got coming up, major events. The first one I want to talk about is Rom by Carl Sherrill.
Ooh.
Jake and I over at Pulp Mortem are going to be doing a buddy read on a video on this pretty soon, so I won't go into too much spoilers. But recently he did a video where he would let his audience pick what books they wanted him to read, and this one came up, and he's like, somebody told me that we should do a buddy read, but I can't figure out because I can't remember who it is. So so I messaged him on the side. I'm like, it was me. I was that somebody. So he's like, well, don't worry, it's probably gonna win anyway. So we'll do it. But Rom is a great story about a demon that gets summoned to essentially kidnap a princess, and during like supposed to say King Arthur's time, and he starts to develop an affinity for humanity, I guess is what we'll call it. But it's a great story. I picked this up back in the 90s. I still have this is the same copy. It didn't get a house fallen on it, or my ex-wife didn't throw it away or anything like that. But yeah, we'll be doing a video of it pretty soon over on Pulp Mortem's channel. So if you don't subscribe to him, which is silly because why wouldn't you?
What are you doing with your life?
Yeah, that's right. Go subscribe and wait for it. It's coming up pretty soon.
Awesome. I know I said I only had one more, but I'm going to do these as a pair.
Okay.
This is a TBR. I want to read The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. And I guess I've kind of started it. I read the introduction or prologue or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a preface. Do you say preface or preface or preface?
I say preface.
Yeah. So I've read the preface. Now I'm never going to be able to say it right again. I've read the little beginning part, and it's good. And so I talked about this during a book call. So I want to read this and do either an episode or a shelfie. And then I finally have bad news. That's my TBR. I think I may have my first, at least first in a long time. I may have my first DNF.
Oh no!
Cue the 2001 music.
Oh no!
I've only gotten this far in it, too. Here's the problem.
That's the microcolony, right?
This is the microcolony. Yeah, sorry. For those of you listening on the podcast version. Okay, maybe I'll give it another shot. I'm on chapter 4, and I had to read the same paragraph like 3 times because the way this is written, maybe it is a situation. You got me. So you got me the Micronauts, right? This is the first. This is actually the second. Now I've just had this epiphany. Maybe I need to read this one first because I'm lost. Like they're talking about characters like I'm supposed to know who they are. Yeah. And I'm like, well, maybe I am supposed to know who they are. All right. So maybe I won't DNF this. Maybe I'll put this one on pause, read this one.
Yeah.
And
F the Micronauts first before you DNF the microcolony.
All right. Will do. So it's an MDNF. Might DNF, but maybe not. So I'll put it on pause.
So I should probably take this time to remind you that coming up next month, February, we're going to be doing a group discussion on Alistair MacLean's River of Death.
We are.
Yeah, I told you about it like 3 months ago, but a lot happened in 3 months.
What if I was at the airport bar when you told me, and I was
it could have been
3 bourbons in.
Lucky for you, it's like 200 pages. Alistair MacLean, there was a time when you couldn't not trip over his books. They were everywhere. He sold millions and millions of books.
Millions.
This is a fun like men's adventure novel that involves secret Nazi gold in the Amazon, and it's a lot of fun. I read it back in the 80s when I found this copy. There's an awful it should go without saying, there's an awful movie adaptation starring Michael Dudikoff. I don't recommend it, but I do recommend River of Death. It's a fast read. But yeah, next month, hopefully, if Nick hasn't forgotten, because I had to remind him already, Brian from Bad Taste and Nick from Book Graveyard, the 4 of us are going to get together and do a review of it. So, yeah, you might
want to read it.
It's a fast read. River of Death. We'll hopefully be doing it next month. Other than that, that's all I got. All right, well, that's going to close the cover on this reading report. The first reading report of the year of our ancient astronaut 2026. We'll be we don't do too many of these because we don't get together often enough to do a weekly reading report. Sometimes we can't even do a monthly reading report. But this was our first reading report for this year.
Well done.
I'm Paul.
I'm Steve.
And the next time you're looking for something to read,
check your shelf.
I really like it when our videos don't require a lot of editing, but this is not going to be one of those videos.